Hello there, my name is Gavin Walsh and today is the 11th of July 2026. I'd like to talk to you about a very tragic phenomena that has occurred in Ireland over the past 6 months, which seems to have climaxed last week down in South Ireland in Killarney, County Kerry. A young American lady was murdered in her own home. She is the eighth victim of femicide in Ireland since January the 1st, a little over 6 months, and from a bit of research I've been able to do, at least six perpetrators were non-nationals, that is, they weren't born in Ireland. Ireland has seen mass immigration into its across its borders over the past number of years, very recent years, mostly since COVID, and about 23 to 24% of people in Ireland now were not born there. And whilst every country rightly welcomes immigration, the problem with Ireland is that it has happened so fast, and the infrastructure, and the services, the road transportation, the education system, the medical facilities, etc., have not been improved one iota. In fact, so you can see that means that the services overall have dropped for the general populace by that equivalency of 23%, 23, 24%. This is not that the people coming to Ireland or to the Western Europe in general are to be faulted. They're looking for a better lifestyle, and who can blame them? In fact, of the world's current population of 8 billion or 7.997 billion, 84% live in what's called the third world. So about 6.7 billion live in the third world. So it's natural that the vast majority of them at some point will want to get a better lifestyle, and what better way to get it than to travel to, I suppose, the Western world, you could call it. The politicians seem to be unable to deal with this problem across Western Europe, with the possible exception of Hungary and Poland. The politicians not only put their head in the sand with it, it's almost the subject is not allowed to be discussed, and ditto with the mainstream media. And the mainstream media in Ireland and Britain, by the way, are generally funded by the taxpayer, by mandatory license agreements, and this, of course, leads to the fact that you do not, under any circumstance, get impartial journalism, and you're basically government mouthpieces. Now, in recent surveys, about 80% and little over 80% of Irish people are very concerned about the mass immigration. It's not the immigration they're concerned about, it's the mass level of it in such a short space of time. And this is finally starting to raise its head. These conversations could not have been had until some of these murders have taken place, which is horrific in itself. But that these things have to happen for free speech to be allowed out. But the 80% plus that are now concerned about immigration, according to the mainstream media, they would be what would have been called far right. So who's fooling who? And of course, if 80% of the populace are asking normal questions that they're entitled to ask and are deemed as far right, this means that the minority are far left or the radical left, and their numbers are very small, but they're extremely vocal, highly organised, and very, very, very demanding with their issues. And the way they label the other side is they conflate everything together, and they use all sorts of isms. It's classic Marxism. They look for a utopian world which doesn't exist, and instead of a utopian world, what a lot of Western countries are getting is a daylight nightmare. Never mind a utopian dream. There are even parties that completely subscribe to open border policies, and one such party is People Before Profit. And you have to beg the question: can no one in there understand that if borders were opened the way they aspire to have them, entire countries would collapse, systems would collapse under the weight of themselves. It's very, very sad about this young lady who was murdered last week. Her name was Jamie Carney, and she came to live from America to Ireland 2021. Her social media pages were blatantly anti-Western, anti-ICE, which is the enforcement arm of United States immigration. And the sad irony is that had Western Europe or Ireland had some form of ICE, this lady would likely be alive today. That is the incredible irony of it all here. Politicians need to get their head out of the sand and to start listening to the people, because they broke their contract with the people. They're not listening to the people. It's evident. It's everywhere. The bubbling under, the underground talk where everyone is sick of it is phenomenal, and voices are starting to be raised. And even my making this video, you know. Memo to politicians: elections have consequences. And memo to voters: be careful who you vote for. God bless that poor lady that was murdered, and God save Ireland.